One of the themes I found always most interesting in The Godfather, both the novel and the film, is the metaphysical theme, which means the presence of evil and the meditation, the reflection on beyond this world, let's speak, as if good and evil were, as they are in many religions, really real physical forces that are even manifested through reality, that are embodied at times in real people. I find this theme more compelling and better developed in the film, but it is also present to an extent in the book. I'm using this edition. This edition has several different versions, so the pagination may not be exactly the same with your copy. I'm looking at page 41. The episode concerns the Godfather. After the wedding, the big party, he is going to visit his old friend and consigliere, Abbandando, who's dying in a hospital bed, dying of cancer. He's emaciated, he's at the end of the line, and Genco Abbandando asks the Godfather for the favor to save him from death. And I'm reading from the book, the first paragraph at the top of the page, at the end of the first paragraph. Godfather, Godfather, he called out blindly, save me from death, I beg you. My flesh is burning off my bones, and I can feel the worms eating away my brain. Godfather, cure me. You have the power. Dry the tears of my poor wife. In Corleone we played together as children, and now you will let me die when I fear hell for my sins? So he's turning to him and he's asking him to save him from death. And then he reiterates, Abbandando said, it is your daughter's wedding day. You cannot refuse me. The answer by the Don is puzzling and interesting. The Don spoke quietly, gravely, to piece through the blasphemous delirium. Old friend, he said, I have no such powers. If I did, I would be more merciful than God. Believe me. But don't fear death, and don't fear hell. I will have a mass set for you, for your soul, every night and every morning. Your wife and your children will pray for you. How can God punish you with so many pleas for mercy? Can you believe the nerve? He says about God, if I did have those powers, I would be more merciful than God. So on the one hand, he admits it does not have the same powers, but at the same time, he compares himself. And in a way, he compares himself more positively. I would be better than God himself. I would be more merciful. So that is a very strange exchange, which altogether seems, from my perspective, maybe I'm reading too much into it, seems to imply that he is also some kind of a metaphysical entity, that the Godfather is a metaphysical entity. He is evil. He's not as powerful as God, but that in his own, within his own realm, he would have criteria that are even more merciful than those of God, toward his friends, of course. I don't think that Puzo, from what I read, and also other stuff that he wrote, had the kind of depth to sustain an argument of that kind. But I think that Francis Ford Coppola did. And I want to refer now to the movie. If you remember the very initial scene, what is the very first shot we see? We see the face of Buonasera. He's dressed with a tuxedo, and he is against a completely black background. Who is Buonasera? What is his job? He's a funeral director. He's a mortician. And the entire scene, when the camera pulls back and shows you the environment, the office of the Don, gives you the sense of a cave. We are in a dark place with rounded ceilings. And if that is not a cave, I don't know what is. So I get the sense that here we are in the nether world. We are in Hades, as the Romans used to call it. This is like hell. This is where the Godfather, Satan, the devil, holds court. It's a very dark atmosphere. The suits, which are the tuxedo, which are for celebration, also fit very well the dress of a funeral. Now, this theme is not necessarily repeated through the film, but this kind of notion frames the film at the beginning, at the very beginning, and at the very end. At the very end, there are two particular moments that are very significant. One is the identity of the Godfather, and it is the moment of his death, which is different in the film than it is in the book. He is in his garden, and in the book he is taking care of his tomatoes. Here he's playing with his grandson, the son of Michael. And what role does he play? He plays the role of the monster. He's chasing the child. He's playing this role. That's, to me, symbolic or emblematic of the message that Francis Ford Coppola wanted to give. And it is that this is really a monster. And he has a heart attack. He falls down. And if you notice, the child approaches him with what looks like a bicycle pump or something like this. Actually, that is a DDT spray. It was a manual spray that people used to spray DDT to kill bugs in a garden. It's a pump. There is a canister that looks like a can at the end, and that's where the liquid was inserted. And then there is a pump that mixes together the air, compressed air, and the liquid, and it would spray. So this is an insecticide. The child, metaphorically, is killing the bug. Those instruments don't exist anymore now. We have little spray cans, but I remember still seeing it at my grandmother's house, something like that. So here it's clearly something that Coppola personally was familiar with as a tool, and the meaning associated with that. And then at the very end, we have the encounter of these two worlds. The world of good, God, of rebirth, of cleansing of the sin, and the moment, and clearly the element of death and evil. One thing that I didn't know, and a friend of mine pointed out, is that the tie and the clothes that Michael Corleone wears during the baptism scene were the uniform of funeral directors throughout the 50s, 60s, and probably later, maybe even now. That tie with the stripes of tonality between gray, black, and brown. The jacket that he was wearing. And I don't know if you can see the pants correctly. But anyway, that was the uniform of a funeral director, in particular the tie. And what is the role of Michael Corleone in this moment? Michael Corleone is actually the godfather to the son of a man that he had killed, and also the son of his sister. And as a godfather in the Catholic tradition and religion, he is escorting the soul of the baby, which is tainted by the original sin. He is escorting it from sin to salvation. Do you accept God? And then you have the machine gun kill. Do you reject, do you refuse Satan? Do you refuse his acts? All of that is part of the liturgy. It's in Latin. And there you have the contrast. He is really welcoming this child not into the world of God, but into the world of evil. So the fact that the film was framed with these two bookends gives me the sense that in Coppola's mind, this was a very important and dominant theme. You should look it over again. Look at the beginning and the end of The Godfather, and I believe you will notice these details. There are other pages in the book that hint about something similar, but I think that visually Coppola did a phenomenal job in rendering these subliminal notions.